When you see that it's not about skin color or uniforms, there are some crooked police, there's some good police. So it would be crazy to say, since there's some crooked police, let's do away with all police. Just as crazy as it would be to say there's some crooked white people, let's get rid of all white people. Because y'all, there's some crooked black people too. We have to look beyond what the physical eyes show and realize there's a spirit behind the scenes, and that's what we're wrestling against. So when we deal with this whole issue of changing a culture, we're talking about having a culture that is governed by the Spirit of God, which has a whole nother paradigm than this world system. This world system is creating a narrative of division. This culture perpetually creates a narrative of unity. That culture creates a narrative of always alleged power. Only the strong survive. This one creates a narrative of meekness, humility, love, forgiveness. Whole nother dynamic. And y'all, here's what's so amazing about it. The narrative of love, grace, forgiveness, unity, peace will get you killed in that system. You don't need no evidence other than Jesus himself. That's all he did. He came loving for them. He came preaching forgiveness and grace and mercy, and they crucified him. That's how wicked that system is. That system thrives off division. It abhors unity. But that's the culture we've got to create. Because there are masses of people who are tired of fear. You want to know how to get rid of fear? The Bible tells us perfect love casts out all fear. There are people who are tired of fear. They're tired of stress. They're tired of enmity in their hearts. They're sick and tired of having nobody they can trust. That's just the way of life for them now. That's the only option they see. So how do you handle it? When you can't trust nobody, if you got good sense and you can't trust nobody, you don't let nobody get too close. And then if you slip up and let somebody get close and they betray you, then you've got to make them pay. And y'all have people that's sick and tired of living like that. They want to come somewhere where they know they can love freely and be loved liberally without judgment and condemnation. And when they discover that culture exists, they run there. They rush to it. If for any reason they have to leave it, their job relocates them, they grieve and miss it. Love is addictive. Help me if you can. Peace is addictive. Joy is addictive. And to have that kind of cultural environment will attract the masses. But we can't do it if we take this world system that Satan has written the script behind the scenes for, and then just add a few scriptures so we think it ain't him. And so our wrestling match is hand-to-hand combat. There are some ways you can know whether you are winning or losing. And that is when you see self-hatred being something this evil script has written. Identify what level of love you have for yourself. All right. I'm not talking about arrogance. Arrogance is really not self-love. All right. Because a person who's arrogant thinks they're better than someone else. All right. And if you think you're better than someone else, you have to surround yourself with less than folk. Self-love means I can accept myself like I am and accept you as you are. You've got strengths that I don't have, and I got strengths that you don't have, and we still good. And since I can be honest about my strengths and honest about your strengths, instead of me trying to compete with you in the area where you are strong and I'm weak, I can say, hey, you got that. You can have it. And I will encourage you and celebrate you. But where I'm strong and you are weak, I got this. And then we can work together as a body. But when you don't have self-love, you are competing against teammates. Y'all, our culture is the only culture that I can think of that has gotten so confused where men in the culture and women in the culture are competing against each other. Other cultures, men may compete against each other and women may compete against each other, but men and women will come together. But in our culture, we have been so twisted that our culture is the only culture that does a lot of talking about a strong black woman. White women will go around to me, I'm a strong white woman. I'm a strong Hispanic woman. Call her beautiful, call her smart, call her a queen, and she's fine. But we've been taught you got to be strong because your men are so weak. And so out of this sense of self-love, we end up fighting against folk who have different strengths than us and different weaknesses than us when we were designed to coexist. So you want to know where you are on that gamut? How much love do you have for yourself? If you have trouble loving other folk, you probably don't love you. You can't hate everybody and say, well, I love me. And so self-love becomes one of those big deals that we've got to grasp. And our Christian faith tells us why we ought to love ourselves. And that is because Christ has redeemed us so royally that my redemption is not based on me in the first place. No, that's out good. That I am who I am, not because of what I have or what I've done. I am who I am because God says I am. I know I'm somebody because God don't make no junk. So that's one of the areas this culture has to really promote is self-love, loving one another, unconditional. That if I show love to you and you don't reciprocate it, you didn't use me. I love you. Whether you got sense enough to appreciate it or not. And so love does not need to be reciprocated. Love is. Christ didn't say, I died for you and you didn't accept me. I wish I could do it all over again. I wouldn't go no problem. But no, God committed his love toward us while we were yet sinners. While there was no hope for us to reciprocate, Christ died. And to be in an environment where we love unconditionally, not based upon whether or not the person can reciprocate. That's the kind of environment that this culture, God would have us be. In this world that's dividing folk and creating more fear and more hatred, there will be masses of people who are oppressed in that system. When they discover that's what's going on over here, they'll be rushing over here. You'll have to get a separate phone because they're going to be calling you too much. Talking about, I just want to hear a word of encouragement. And you'll be showing up saying, encourage yourself. Speak spiritual hymns to yourself. But that's what this world needs. And that's what God has called us to create. Every head is bowed, every eye is closed. Oh God, our Father, we thank you for